Good morning, everybody. Wake up. Wake up, wake up. In Provincetown. This week featuring Wake up, wake up. Can I have some coffee? Wake up, wake up. Make it strong, please. Hey. Oh. Hey. Wake up, wake up. Oh.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey guys, it's Friday, March 24th. This is Wake Up in Provincetown, and we have a very, very great, important show for you today. Who's on the show, Harry?
We've got Michael Gaucher and also Paul Benson coming to talk about the articles that involve housing and short-term rentals on this upcoming agenda.
These are two people who did the hard work of actually taking this problem that I think we can all agree is one of the most important problems that we all face here in Provincetown together. Everybody has an opinion.
Do you think we all agree?
If you are somebody out there who does not agree that housing is a problem in Provincetown, then I believe you are in the minority. Housing is a problem. 99 to 100% of people here would agree. But there are very few people who I think actually did the hard work of sitting down, mulling it over, and trying to come up with a solution. And whether the solutions presented in Articles 18, 19, or 20 will work or not, we don't know yet. There's only one way to find out.
We're going to chat about it.
We're going to chat about it.
Yeah.
We're going to find out what these articles are about, what the intentions of the authors are, and more. Who else is on the show?
We've also got Ann Hutchinson coming back for the weather.
Yeah. Our intrepid weather girl, who seems to somehow never talk about the weather.
She's finding the weather. She's looking for it.
Yay! She's our WHETHER girl. Like, weather or not, I'm going to talk about the weather. We also, there's a little bit of a PSA in today's show about hypertension and high blood pressure. You can get yours checked at the library every Wednesday until June 21st. You're going to see a little bit about that later. But first, how was your week?
Well, and Mona.
Oh my God! There's only one more See You Next Tuesday. It's Mona's See You Next Tuesday trivia at the Grotto Bar. Mark and I have won previously together in the past. We did not win on Tuesday.
I heard you were so close, though.
1 point. That's the worst.
Oh, yeah.
When you lose by 1 point to a bunch of people who aren't drinking. And you're like, if only I hadn't had that third Manhattan, I might have known more answers.
You never know. It might have helped.
Sure. We lost.
Yeah.
But it was really fun. It's super fun. And if you have a chance to go next Tuesday, I think you should go.
Yeah.
Will you be here?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what's going on in your life?
My week was cute. So we had Kaya on the show last Friday.
Oh.
And that evening was her birthday party. And I showered and got ready and sat down on my couch for 5 minutes and then woke up at 2 in the morning, fully dressed, hair done like this on the couch.
You didn't go?
I fully intended to go and then fell asleep on my couch. I'm too old.
To go to Kaya's birthday?
To go out. To be in my apartment at 9:30 and then think I'm going to leave it.
Oh. But you do that when you're in Boston.
No.
What about that week that you went out twice in one week?
Yeah, I was out at 6:30 drinking because I knew I had to be I have to be out and get my energy up and drink espresso martinis to make it till 2.
It's because of this new fixation with the gym that you have.
Thank you. A big shout out to Mama Lee for noticing my arms yesterday.
I know, we were interviewing Mama Lee. She's like, look at your big arms.
I was
Somebody's been working out.
Yeah.
It's nice when people notice all the hard work you're putting into yourself, right?
Yeah.
What about up here? What about the work you're doing up here?
I try not to. No thinking aloud.
So you didn't go to Kaya's birthday. What else did you not do last weekend?
Last Saturday night I did something I really enjoy. I cooked lasagna for a friend.
Lasagna?
That's one of my love languages, making lasagna for my friends.
Meat?
Yeah, meat lasagna.
Who was your friend?
Sunny.
Aw.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sunny needs housing for the summer.
I thought Sunny was leaving.
He is going to leave if he cannot find housing. He's trying really hard, though.
Wow.
Every year around this time, usually 2 or 3 of my close friends who have stayed who have worked in businesses for years, have stayed through the winter, are realizing that they have to move away at the beginning of the season rather than continue working in restaurants. Probably because short-term rentals are not a problem. But it's always so sad to see my friends who have such a commitment to the community and working and serving people in the community and creating the culture of the town that have to leave because they cannot find housing.
If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Not every apartment can be an Airbnb.
Well, that's like another thing I did this week is go on community space for 5 minutes and then want to walk into the ocean and never come back. I need to stop going on community space. It's
bad for your mental health.
It's really bad for my mental health and also my relationship with the community and my fellow community members.
You have to bear in mind that of the 15,000 people on community space, 4 live in town.
Yeah, there's one person who's like constantly trolling on community space, and I like every time I just want to like post the Mean Girls gif. I'm like, he doesn't even go here.
Yeah.
Like he lives in Boston, and like every once in a while you'll see him drunk at tea, and like for some reason is like constantly posting on community space.
It's his happy place.
Whatever.
You guys, this is also a very important week. Wait, when is that town meeting?
Beginning
4th?
of April, yeah.
The 3rd, April 3rd. Just want to remind everybody who is a voter in Provincetown to be in town 2 Mondays from now.
Yeah.
You know, put it on your calendar if you are a voter. What time? I mean, 6 until infinity and beyond.
Last time we got 2 meetings out of it.
Only 2?
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's why they put the articles that they believe everybody wants to hear about, like smack dab in the lower third.
I found last town meeting, there was so much debate, but it was really everyone agreeing but wanting to talk.
Yeah.
Which I love people wanting to make their voice heard and make their opinion heard. But we would like talk and debate for like 45 minutes and then it would vote pass unanimously. I'm like, we probably could have just done that at the beginning.
Yeah. If you're just agreeing with everybody else, maybe save it for George's Pizza.
Yeah, and one of the things I noticed at a housing meeting I went to recently and also last town meeting was I feel like people need to people that want to go and be a part of the process need to know where in the process we are in that moment. A lot of people, like at the last housing meeting, we're at the solutions phase. We're talking about solutions, and a lot of people went and spoke and were like, we really need housing. And it's like, they know. That's why we're here. It's like, if you want to get up and talk, we're talking about the articles, we are talking about solutions, we're talking about how to move forward. And everyone in the room knows housing is an issue. Everyone knows people are housing insecure, so. Yeah.
So if you have a lead, let Sunny know.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to keep Sunny around.
Yeah.
What else?
What else did I do this week? I saw Into the Woods.
You didn't love it though.
I loved it. I had my critique. Not even a critique. It was just it was the same production you saw, but I saw the touring version. I saw it in Boston at the Emerson Colonial, which is such a gorgeous theater. It's my favorite show ever. I love the show. The music's incredible. I usually start crying during moments of the woods and then stop crying about 20 minutes after I've left the theater, which is embarrassing. Like literally the lights came up and I was like,
teary show.
Yeah, it's a beautiful show. I just found it, it wasn't, and it's because of the nature of the show. It started as like, almost like an in-concert version. So like the costumes are very pared down, the staging is very pared down, the set is very pared down, and but it's one of those things like, it's just such a good show and such a good message that it's impossible to not enjoy.
Good.
Yeah, I saw it with Stephanie J. Block, who was incredible as the baker's wife, and also Gavin Creel as Cinderella's prince, who was also incredible. And leaving it, I was like, oh, they fully stood out. And I was like, that's why they're billed first, that's why they're famous. They really stood out as being really incredible, as well as the woman who played Little Red, who I think is the same actress you saw.
She's hilarious.
She's been in it like she's sticking with it because she really brings a lot to it. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you got to see that.
Me too.
Limited run. It's only there for another week or so.
Yeah, but if you have the chance, definitely go see it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you're in Boston, go see Into the Woods.
Oh. Can I talk about TV for a second?
Go for it.
First of all, something we're going to be excited about, and if you want to get on board and know what we're going to be blabbering about for the next 2 months, watch Yellow Jackets.
Is that back?
It's back on Sunday.
Oh.
So we're going to be talking about it nonstop for the next 2 months. So
if you live in town and you have Showtime, let me know.
Oh, you don't have Showtime?
I don't have Showtime. I don't know how I watched it the first year.
I think I have it. I think it's like a with Hulu or something.
Oh, maybe I do have it.
Yeah,
then.
we'll check.
Yeah. I thought the first season was so fun.
Definitely, and I cannot wait to see what happens. It left mostly questions.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. Another TV thing I've been doing this week, Shadow and Bone season 2 came out. One of the producers lives here in town. He's a good friend. He's awesome, and the show's incredible. Season 2 came out. I haven't started season 2 because I watched the preview a few days before season 2 is coming out, and I was like, I don't remember any of this.
I don't know Shadow and Bone.
It's really good. I watched it when I had COVID 2 winters ago, or maybe last winter, and I Googled shows like Game of Thrones. It's just very high fantasy.
Magic.
Yeah, which I love. But so I'm rewatching season 1, and
Balkan patina.
yeah, very Eastern.
A Balkan patina, Andrew says. if
Balkan
if
patina.
that's your color story, Balkan patina.
My new drag name.
I love that. But it's a lot of fun if you love high fantasy. I kind of love anything with high in front of it. High fantasy, high drag, high camp, high, or just high.
Just high.
Yeah. Let's do the weather.
Okay. And take it away.
Good morning, Paul.
Hi.
Hello, Bob and Harrison and Provincetown lovers everywhere. It's me, Anne Hutchinson, your weather correspondent, and to be honest, I have no idea what's been going on in the cosmos this week because I've been busy celebrating the 385th anniversary of my excommunication. So today, to keep that celebration energy going, we are going to get real spiritual. We are going to do a tarot reading to find the weather, okay? First things first, when I do a tarot reading, I use the Tattoo Tarot Ink and Intuition deck because when something is etched into your skin, people just know that that thing is important to you through intuition. They just get a sense, Ink and intuition. It's not how I did my makeup today for all you detractors at home. It's how we're going to get the weather today. So, my method of doing a tarot reading is called the 52 card pickup method. So as I shuffle, you send me energy about what you want to know more about. And in this case, just to remind you all, it is the weather. Do not send me anything else. HIPAA laws do not apply here, and I will talk shit about you. Okay, so when you're done sending that energy to me, and I'm done shuffling, what we do with the 52 card pickup method is I just throw the deck at you. Okay? And so now, darling, could you get me 3 cards and no peeky, just and I'll read them for you. Oh, thank you, dear, thank you. All right, now slowly, we will see what we have first. So the first card we have here is the world. And what this means, it's a great card. It means that the weather will be happening in the world. What more can you ask for, really? Wonderful card. I'll leave that there for you to digest further. Our second card is the sun. Also, a really great card. This reading is wonderful. What this means is that the sun will rise every day. Perfect. Oh, darling, you gave me 4 cards. Well, listen, if the weather's ruined, it's not my fault, it's the oil company's fault, but I gotta read them all at this point, so we'll see how it goes. Ooh, the third card is the moon. Okay, this isn't so bad. It's kind of like the sun. The moon will be around for those long, lonely nights and you quiver in your own existence. So, always nice to have the moon around. And our final card today is the Wheel of Fortune. And this card is, it's all right. Basically, it's a let the cards fall where they may sort of card. What will happen will happen. So spin that wheel and hope for a Caribbean getaway because basically the weather's going to be what it's going to be. And since we used the Tattoo Tarot card deck, everything we did here is permanent. So for eternity, we know the weather, and hopefully next week I won't have to talk about it. Back to you, Bob and Harrison.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank God for Anne, now that I know what the weather will be like this week.
Yeah.
What else is new in the world?
Okay, I have a few news stories going on in the world.
Anything good? Is there good
I
news?
was like, no. There's like silver linings within them. Let's start continuing with TV.
Okay.
Did you watch the first season of A League of Their Own?
No.
I did. It was fantastic. So Abby Jacobson, who is most known from Broad City, was the producer, writer, and star of A League of Their Own, the television series, which is on Amazon Prime. I watched it. It was really fun. They basically took the same story that the movie from the early 90s was based on and updated it to tell a more full picture of what was happening during the time that they're portraying, which is the Women's Baseball League during the war. And the themes of the show are I loved it because it's all about women. It's all about queer women, black women, women of color, and it was a really fun watch. It had a lot of heart to it, and getting a glimpse into what it was like being a queer woman during that time was heartbreaking and sad, but also like uplifting and really beautiful. Like I said, Abby Jacobs stars in it. Also, her name is Darcy. She was in The Good Place. She played like the robot lady from in The Good Place. But she's also in it. So the first season came out last year, and it has a lot of fans, and they were hoping for obviously a second season. And what was leaked this past week is that it will get a second season, but only 4 episodes, and it will be their final season.
So it's like a movie to close it out.
Yeah, they're basically giving it a chance to wrap it up, but not really continue it much further. But the show that was created, one of those show's creators who created alongside Abby Jacobson is Will Graham, and he tweeted that this was a leak. It's not official. If you want more, make your voices heard. People are listening. Now is the time. And people did. Fans responded with obviously tweeting a lot, getting the message out through social media, but someone also hired a plane to fly over Amazon Prime Video headquarters with a banner that read, "Renew A League of Their Own, #more-than-4."
Wow.
That is some commitment. How much do you think that costs?
A few $1,000s.
At least, yeah. So I'm hoping that it'll move forward. It was a ton of fun. Graham said that he wants there to be a place where queer stories are watched and universal, and that the mission of the show was to fill in some of the gaps in history and even from the 1992 film to take people on an incredible ride that speaks to truthful queer experiences. Yeah, if you like watching queer TV, this is definitely one to watch. I loved it. And I also love the movie, so just like the cute little uniforms and stuff. I know like in the show all the women hate the uniforms, but I'm just like, they're so fierce. Let's see. Kind of good news.
Great.
Silver lining-y news. So there was a drag story hour at The Center, which is an LGBTQ plus community center on West 13th Street in New York. And a bunch of alleged members of the Proud Boys showed up to protest it, but they did not know that these sidewalks were going to be lined with hundreds of supporters that held rainbow banners, basically umbrellas. They kind of employed that same technique that people use against the Westboro Baptist Church, which is like to like kind of block them from what's going on. And so ultimately, the two groups clashed. And the members of the Proud Boys were left bloodied, and a man in a gold mask that was representing the Proud Boys was also arrested, saying that he had assaulted one of the pro-drag activists. Yeah, so it's like, I feel like a lot of people, like these Proud Boys, think that like, and it's because of the echo chamber that is Facebook and social media. It's like, they think everyone agrees with them, and then there's like a few crazy people who are forcing sexualized drag on children, and they're gonna go save them. And then they show up and they're like, oh wow, not everyone agrees with us. And then they get beat up and have to be escorted away by the police for their own safety. Yeah. But dozens of children attended the story hour. The books that were read were about being kind and making friends at school when you look different from other people. Yeah. So that's good, right?
Yeah.
Beat up Proud Boys.
I don't advocate for violence against anyone.
I do.
Oh.
Let's see what else we got. We'll do another not so great one. So For the past like 4 or 5 years, the NHL has added Pride nights to their kind of themed nights. This is in addition to things that have run for a while, like Black History Month, Military Appreciation Night, Hockey Fights Cancer Nights, and in the past, they typically all the teams. And this is indicative of all of these things. They will warm up in jerseys that are themed around the night. So they'll have like Hockey Fights Cancer special jerseys. They'll warm up in them, and then they'll auction those jerseys off. And that money will go to corresponding charities. And this has been happening for years, but this year there was a player, Ivan Provorov, who said that he was going to refuse to wear the jersey because it conflicted with his Russian Orthodox beliefs. And that kind of created like an avalanche of teams kind of pulling out from the idea of wearing these jerseys. 4 teams ended up not wearing them, and it was kind of, they didn't make statements about it. New York Pride, which is one of the organizations that was going to be supported through the auctioning off of the jerseys, said that it was obviously a major disappointment. The teams that skipped the jerseys were the New York Islanders, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Minnesota Wild. And it just very much feels like things are moving backwards. And I think people are being emboldened by this, like these drag bills, these anti-trans bills. So
That's your opinion on that?
what do you mean?
Fuck those guys.
I mean, yeah. So one of the teams released a statement saying that it's for the safety of the Russian players, because if they go back to Russia and they've done this, they can be persecuted by Russian law because they have like gay propaganda laws there.
Oh, you're not even allowed to wear a rainbow flag over there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if they like unearth a photo of you from the internet of having worn a rainbow jersey,
I guess.
whatever. Fuck Russia.
Yeah.
Russia.
There was one team who released a statement and said that like the players that are refusing can refuse. We as an organization are sticking with this. We feel passionately about it. So it's just become an issue that is moving in a direction that we don't love.
I thought the team could cancel an athlete for taking a stand. If Colin Kaepernick's life can be over for kneeling, fuck these guys.
Yeah,
you don't want to
right.
wear the jersey? Out. Gone. For good. Right?
It does seem like the conversation around queer rights and things like this is like the one where you're allowed to take
a stand against gay rights, but you're not allowed to take a stand for black rights.
Exactly.
Interesting, sports world.
Okay, one more news story.
Great.
So Brokeback Mountain is getting a stage adaptation.
Okay.
That's good, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So Annie Proulx's story, short story Brokeback Mountain, is getting a new treatment. It's going to be a play with music. It is not based on the 2005 film with Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger, but rather the original work that was printed in a magazine in 1998. The 2 leads will be played by Lucas Hedges and Mike Feist, and it's going to run in London from May 10th to August 12th. Lucas Hedges is best known for his portrayal of the sardonic teen Patrick Chandler in 2016's Manchester by the Sea. He was also in Boy Erased, Lady Bird, and also the 3 Billboards movie.
Yes, he's very good.
Yeah, the other actor is more of a stage actor. He got his, what was his name? Feist. He got his start in Newsies. He was in the ensemble in Newsies, and then he ended up getting nominated for a Tony for playing Connor in Dear Evan Hansen. And then he got his first major film role playing Riff in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. So it seems like it's going to be great. It's not a musical, but I guess there is going to be like sung music as part of it, but not the actors singing the music. So it's going to have like a soundtrack almost. But yeah, I'm into it. And it'll probably be successful and come to New York, so we'll probably be seeing that soon.
Probably.
Yeah. That's all I got for news stories. Not a lot going on.
What?
Uganda?
What?
Oh, never mind.
I just wanted to, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I was just going to say, I watched a couple of really interesting things this week.
What'd you watch?
One of which was The Whale. Have you seen The Whale
no.
yet? For which Brendan Fraser won the Best Actor Academy Award. It's about an 800-pound English professor, writing professor, who tries to rekindle his relationship with his biological daughter. He's like 800-pound gay dude who like can't get up off the sofa. And I just want to let everybody know that this is a very important movie to watch. The theme of which is assisted suicide is okay if the nurse uses meatball subs. I think that's what the movie was trying to tell me.
Oh, Jesus.
No? Did you watch it?
Did he deserve to win?
He's very good. It's so hard to see what is him and what's the fat suit or what's.
Well, they both-
was it CGI?
They both won. No, hairstyling and costuming won.
They won too.
Or hairstyling makeup won for that.
I mean, I didn't see the Elvis movie. That guy who played Elvis won every award leading up to the Oscars, and then lost to Brendan Fraser at the Oscars.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Oh, Elvis won everything until the Oscars.
Weird.
But also, this is what I was saying right before we went on live, is I watched that Nan Goldin documentary last night, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, which was up for Best Documentary at the Oscars this year. And it's about how Nan Goldin, the famed photographer, helped take down the Sackler family, who was responsible for the nation's opioid crisis.
Oh, wow.
And how she initiated a campaign 4 or 5 years ago to get all the museums of the world to take the Sackler name off of their buildings. And it worked. But also, what I didn't know about Nan Goldin, and I think everybody should watch this documentary, is that she lived in Provincetown in the 70s.
No way.
There's like a whole 10-minute stretch of the movie where she's like, then in 1975, I moved to Provincetown. I worked for Pam at the Pied Bar, which was the lesbian club at the time. And then I worked at John's Footlong, this Portuguese hot dog stand.
I love
It's
that.
it's really fun to like see these, you know, obviously she was, you know, documenting it all with her camera. So there's some really fun photography of Provincetown in the 70s in the movie, so you guys should watch it.
Cute.
Yeah, it's on HBO.
That's all. Should we see Mona?
Yeah, so like I said, Mark and I and Aaron Korch and Peter Sullivan and a bunch of other people went to trivia on Tuesday to see Mona, and it's an interesting take on trivia. She sings, she lip syncs, she does numbers, she sometimes asks questions. She'll like start a question and then like go on a riff or a rant, and you know, her brain is a very, very interesting place.
Very Mona.
So here's 4 minutes of trivia. There's only one left this upcoming Tuesday at the Grotto Bar.
Bar. We have a $50 gift certificate to the Painted Lady, redeemable upstairs, downstairs, even in the summertime when who knows what the fuck we are. But you know what? I don't like labels, and I will not let this town label us. Otherwise, next thing you know, it'll be like Tennessee, darling. And I won't be able to perform near children. Which, if you know me, as most drag queens, I'm sure you all know drag queens, the thing we love the most in the world are children. We love when they're around and just spend our time with them, darling. We can hardly wait for all of you to have more, to bring them over and ask for things. Which is the other way. Parallel means they don't touch, darling. Okay, that's the equal sign. You know, you understand. Okay. Here we go. But in mathematics, what do 3 parallel lines mean? Darling, we all know that 2 parallel lines in mathematics means equal to. But what do 3 parallel lines in mathematics mean? Is it A, the distance from New York to Australia? 3 times. Is it A? It means banana. It means click here for more menu options. IST. But the answer is also free, obviously, but whatever. And keeping with our spring has sprung equinox theme, here we go. This is serious business. What? This is serious business. This separates the men from the boys, as my mother would say. Gender's a construct. You know what's not a construct?
The question?
My shows. All right. What ancient Egyptian monument was built to face the sun? I have a tenor. Too early.
like, I'm drunk, but I just want to say support businesses that are here to be open year-round. Half the time they're not making any money. They are just keeping it for you on a fucking night Tuesday. Is that what this is? To be out. Look around, y'all. This is what Provincetown that we want it to be. This is the community that we want it to be. Support people that are out. Go to the fucking every night of the week bingo, drag queen, whatever it is. If you want to be here year round and support your community, do it. It's a lot of money to open the doors every day, and you're here, you're spending money, and God bless every one of you.
Shannon!
Every person that supports this shit. Thank you. I'm sorry. I got super emotional, but I love this place. I love this town, and I want you all to support it.
I agree with that crazy drunk man at the end of that video. Things that are open year-round to entertain us, please go to them. This, by the way, is not only the last Tuesday of See You Next Tuesday Trivia with Mona Moore, it's also the last Tuesday of the Painted Ladies Winter Pop-Up. We don't know what form that restaurant will take this summer. I think the team is still deciding, but I think Heather and the team, they did a great job. I loved going there. Yeah. Big hit over there at local.
Yeah.
What else is going on this weekend?
So much. So Spiritus opens next Thursday. That's
Free
really
pizza
exciting.
day.
Is that at the beginning too?
It's always their first day is free pizza day.
Oh, I thought it was the end.
That's the real beginning of spring.
The real first day of spring is free pizza day at Spirit.
I love the way the seasons are punctuated in Provincetown being so different than other places. Like first day of spring is when Spiritus opens, and then like summer ends at Halloween.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
you know.
Or calendar's a little off.
Right.
What's happening tonight? Is there anything fun happening tonight? There's got to be.
There's the drag race viewing at the Crown and Anchor at the Wave Bar with Mackenzie and Austin. Also at the Crown this weekend on Saturday night, doors at 7. The show starts at 8. It is a drag show benefiting the ACLU's Drag Defense Fund. It's also going to support local artists. So I think the proceeds are going to be split evenly between the ACLU's Drag Defense Fund and also the artists participating in the show.
Fun.
Yeah, there are currently 429 anti-LGBTQ bills passing through the houses and senates of the country, and the ACLU's Drag Defense Fund is going to combat a little of that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's fun. Are you going to that?
I hope to.
Are you performing?
No.
Local honey.
I know. No.
She's
I
going to
know.
fall asleep on her sofa at 9:30.
Probably dressed as local honey, sleeping on my couch. But right after that is Mushroom Head at the Wave Bar. It's going to be DJ James Turney and Andrew Lennox. 1 year anniversary.
Oh my God.
I love that.
Ooh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Oh, there's also a big concert at Town Hall tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
English Beat. Do you know them?
Yeah. What's their? You mentioned them, so I was like, I don't know if I know them. So I was listening to them. They have a song that I know.
Mirror in the Bathroom.
No.
That's one of their
What's
biggest
their big
hits.
one? No.
I don't know.
Okay.
I've never heard of them, but I'm going.
Okay. No, I put them on and I was like, oh, I know this song.
Yeah?
Like, yeah, it's one of those. I feel like you're gonna know a few of their songs too.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I love live music. I love shows at Town Hall. I think it's going to be a good time.
There's also the Monday movie over at the Pilgrim House, and also 2 Queens in a Movie on Tuesday night at the Water's Edge Cinema.
And if you are a recreational clammer, this is your last weekend to go get some clams. Low tide Sunday morning is at 9:40.
Oh, that's perfect.
I don't know how cold it's going to be, but if you were watching the Ann Hutchinson segment, then you know.
Or don't.
Or don't. But go out Sunday morning and get your last pail of clams.
Friday's the last one, the 31st.
Oh, it is? Next Friday, sorry. It's your
Okay.
next to last
So you
opportunity.
have today, Sunday, and next Friday.
I know for a fact that the tide is cooperating with you Sunday morning. I don't know about next Friday.
Okay, perfect. Should we stop in with the library?
Yeah, so you guys, public service announcement. High blood pressure and hypertension, it's a thing. And if you want to know how to reduce it and make your life a little bit better, go over to the library on a Wednesday this spring. Watch this.
I don't know if you guys know this. I certainly didn't know it. You can come to the library right now and get your blood pressure taken.
I'm Angie. I'm one of the Barnstable County health nurses, and we're here every Tuesday through the 21st of June, checking blood pressures and blood sugars. We're here through Barnstable County Health, through the Buy Fresh, Buy Local grant, fighting hypertension through Fresh Foods program.
How am I looking?
A little bit on the higher side.
I'm just nervous to be on camera. And what about over here?
Yeah, so part of the program, the people have cooperative extension, lab nutrition education, and so part of the program is to educate people on how they can improve their blood pressure by lowering salt, using the DASH diet. There's also information about things like SNAP and HIP, so how you can use your benefits at farmers markets. And so we always do a healthy recipe and a nice snack. This is carrot cake smoothie. Would you like to try a little?
I'd love some, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ooh, hypertension. Is that what you just said? High blood pressure.
So any allergies? Because this has walnuts in it and soy.
No.
Okay, perfect. So this is fresh carrots, so you'll actually end up chewing it a little bit, which is surprising for a smoothie. But it's carrots, banana, raisins, walnuts, little pumpkin pie spice. I use soy milk because it has a lot of protein.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And you're here till 12:30?
Yes,
How many days a week?
just on Wednesdays.
Just on Wednesdays until June 21st.
Correct.
Thank you so much. You guys get in here, get your blood pressure taken, have a sip of a delicious, healthy smoothie. Make some good habits.
Wasn't that fun? I do not have high blood pressure. I was just really nervous. I also ran to the library and I was sweating when she was taking my blood pressure. So I'm fine. I don't need to eat that carrot smoothie. Please welcome to the show community members, residents, taxpayers, and voters, Michael Gaucher and Paul Benson.
Yeah.
Who I want to say thank you to both of you, first of all, for taking the time and effort to put all the work into writing these articles and putting them on the warrant. I know that a lot of thought and time went into this from both of you, so thank you. And for those of you out there going, these won't work, where's your article?
Yeah. Well, first, how about we each one of you tell a little about like how long you've been in Provincetown, what you do in the community, what you've done.
Sure.
Paul.
Sure. I moved here 10 years ago. I work at the Red Inn as a bartender. I also write for the Provincetown Independent. I work with these gentlemen all summer long for the last 6 years or so. And I started writing for the newspaper in 2019 because I wanted to understand how things worked better. I wanted to sort of see how all the moving parts get things done. And it has been really fun, and I'm super grateful for it. Still is really fun. We'll continue to be grateful for it for years to come.
Yeah. Michael?
I'll try to make it brief. My family's been here since 1910, bought the Lucy Cross House in 1919. My uncle's 3 names are on the World War II monument out front. My grandmother met my grandfather while she was working at the bookstore here, so I had family in town for a long time. My personal history, we used to come down summers, spend them on Dewey Ave. I came down in the 90s to work for the AIDS support group, and I started a outreach program that was copied nationally, which was fantastic. I left town and just worked for the Department of Public Health, but I kept coming back to bartend at Good Times. Remember Good Times? Yeah. I was there at Good Times with Morelli, and then I was at the Boat Slip for years and years, and now the family property that's been in my family since 1910 has been passed down to me, and so now I'm running a guest house in a parking lot. There you go.
I love running a parking lot.
Yeah. I am telling you, it's a slice of America few ever see. Parking lots.
So I think we are all on the same page that housing is the prime issue of our time here in Provincetown. Short-term rentals do play a large part in that. So what was the impetus for you to create these articles?
For me, being in the parking lot, what I found remarkable last summer was that the Muse shut down for 2 days a week because they did not have enough staff. And we can talk about people leaving, and it's all kind of random or esoteric. You know people, they have to go, other people come. But when the Muse, which is a staple, shut down for 2 nights all summer long, And like Item, they had to shut down at night because they didn't have any night staff. I was like, oh my God, something has to happen. And so that was the impetus for me writing this.
Paul?
I mean, we all have this direct experience of not having enough coworkers, of losing people, of the job getting more and more difficult. And it's not just in the service industry. You see it in healthcare, you see it in town government, all the nonprofits. Outer Cape Health will recruit 4 doctors in a row who won't be able to move here because doctors can't find a place. And that's then nurses, physician's assistant, everything gets worse as you roll downhill. So we can't fill these positions and we're missing people. The vet on Shankpinner was closed for I don't know how many months. So there are numbers we can put on this too. It's not just a feeling. There were 849 year-round rentals in town according to the census in 2000. And by 2019, there were only 334. So 60% of all our rental housing was gone in 20 years. And that's even with Province Landing, Stable Path, Old Ann Page, 83 Shankpinner. The things that we build, the
That are
affordable
being
rentals
added.
that we build, we're still losing units dramatically, even with the stuff we're building. So
Can you look into the camera and tell people that again?
I can.
Even with all of the building that we are doing, we can't catch up with the attrition.
And if you look at what's coming, we do have a lot of construction projects underway. They're important, they're incredibly amazing. There's a consensus around building in this town, and that's really good. But you can make a spreadsheet and look at it, and we're not adding units fast enough to make up for what we're losing out the other side.
We can't build our way out of this problem.
That's my belief. I look at it like a bathtub. We're pouring units in on one side, but it's draining away out the other. And if we don't look at what's happening on the other side of the equation, then we're going to continue to lose units on net. So it's uncomfortable to look at the other side of the equation. There is no consensus around it. Short-term rentals are kind of the third rail in Provincetown. They're not fun to talk about, trust me.
I think it's fun.
If we don't look at the units that are draining away every year, then we're not going to be able to have a successful conversation about keeping our industries going. And that includes our healthcare, our government, and the private sector.
I'm so glad you bring that up because so often people talk about like worker housing and workers, and I feel like so many people are like, oh, busboys, workers. And it's like, when we say workers, it's obviously the people who keep the tourism industry running, which is restaurants, shops, coffee shops, things like that. But when you really use the word worker, you're including firefighters, doctors, municipal workers, and those are also people that like we're losing. And if like you're like, oh, my short-term rental, it's like I'm charging whatever $5,000 a week or whatever, and it's like, and then those people are going to come and there's going to be trash cans overflowing, and if they get hurt, there's no one to help them, and
No summer police.
no summer police, no restaurants to go eat at. It's challenging.
Our mental health care situation is really grim. There are not enough therapists for the people who are here. And then, like I always say, it's all fun and games until something that you need is missing, like a vet. You know, your dog's doing some, shaking and throwing up blood, and there's nowhere to go except Orleans. It's important to have all of these industries and all of these parts of our community, and we're losing them so quickly, and that's the impetus to act now.
Right.
Now, can you tell us, describe what Article 18 is? Like, what does it lay out?
It is so simple. It's a business now to buy up short-term rental units and use them in stock portfolios. Marriott does it. There's another place called TechVestor that does it. They advertise it, no shame. You give us some money, we're gonna buy some short-term rentals, and we're gonna give you dividends. That happens because you're allowed to buy underneath corporate names. So this particular article says one short-term rental certificate for one natural person. That's it. You can't buy up bunches of them. You can't turn it into investment properties. If you have a retirement home, you love Provincetown, you need the money from a short-term rental to make that mortgage payment, I'm not coming after you. You can have your short-term rental certificate. What we're trying to do is to stop corporations from coming in and turning this into a business. And what's important to know about this, that is if you currently have, like there's a gentleman I was speaking with online, he said, I have 4 units. 2 of them are year-round and 2 of them are short-term. And the short-terms pay for the year-rounds. And this 18 is going to take that away from me. And to you, sir, and I hope you got my answer, that's not what this is. Everyone who has their short-term rental certificates are grandfathered in. So if you have that and you're doing that and you're helping the community, thank you so much. And this is not going to affect you in the least. This is moving forward in the future, keeping corporations from turning short-term rentals into even a bigger business.
Sounds good to me.
Like,
Right?
yeah.
Right? I don't know. But I still get emails and texts. You're ruining the town. I'm like, well, I guess we're going to agree to disagree.
I think the prevailing thought by people that haven't read them and don't know enough about them is that all three of these articles are going to take something from me. If I've already been, if I've got 3 short-term rentals in town, this is going to fuck me over. One of these
Right.
is going to fuck me over.
Right. And that we designed, I designed mine, and I've had conversations with you. We wanted the maximum benefit with the least amount of damage. So everyone who has an STR is grandfathered in. Everyone who has it now. This is moving forward. So anybody out there who believes that this is going to take something away from you, that is not our intent at all. Like I said, you have you bought your place because you want to retire here, and the prices were so high that you have to short-term rent it. I get that. That's fine. I don't want to screw you over. What I'm trying to do is make sure that moving forward, the places that become available aren't lost to short-term rentals. Across Route 6, there are like 54 long-term rentals. Everybody lives over there. I mean, Billie Jean, tons of people. People that own those houses, they're old. And those are going to sell. And if people can get short-term rental certificates, when those sell and turn those into investment properties, they're going to. Those are going to be 54 long-term dwelling units we're going to lose. We can't afford that in this town. There's going to be no one to work. And if that's the case, then all of our properties are going to be worthless. But more than that, a town that we love is going to be decimated. So please, vote for these. I can't even see the argument against it.
What's number 19?
19, all right, no, 19. The Article 19 caps the short-term rental certificates at the current amount. So Dan Ravello is working with a company called Granicus that figured out by going on a bunch of different platforms that legally and illegally, meaning registered and unregistered short-term rentals, are about 1,450 to 1,500. So what Article 19 does is cap the number of short-term rentals at 1,500. So once that cap would be reached, there would no longer be any short-term rentals available to folks who wanted them. And if you did want them, you would have to wait for someone who currently has one to relinquish it. It would go back to the town, and then it would be released in a lottery.
I think that makes a good point because, and this is what I always say, it's like everyone is like, oh, short-term rentals shouldn't be regulated and blah, 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 but it's like, this town will always, we're not going to do away with short-term rentals.
No, we need them.
This town will be made up of short-term rentals, guest houses, businesses, residential places, but what needs to be addressed is the balance, and that's what I feel like is what these are addressing, is the balance has shifted to being too many short-term rentals, which is eating up people's ability to live here, and I feel like that addresses that.
I'm sorry, I feel like I'm taking up all the air.
Okay. He's next.
There are other models that we could have looked at. Like some places, let's say they had 1,500 short-term rental certificates, and they're like, we're cutting it to 8. We're cutting it to 800. That's it. Right. And a bunch of people got left out. I don't want to do that. Other places did it through zoning. They said we made areas where zones allow Airbnbs and zones that don't. And I was like, God, they're all over town. I don't want to do that to people either. I mean, sincerely, when people say this wasn't vetted, I take personal offense because I talked to a lot of people and we looked at a lot of models and we figured out this would be the best one. And if somebody has a better model, please bring it forward. But I haven't seen that yet. And just to the point where individuals want to say, this is radical. You know, this is so radical. What are you doing? Here's a list of places who currently do it. Savannah, Austin, Charleston, Boston, Nashville, Chicago, New Orleans, New York, San Antonio, San Francisco, Santa Monica, Fairhaven, Bromfield, Boulder, Telluride, Breckenridge, San Diego, Colorado Springs. It goes on and on. None of these places have spiraled into economic despair, and everyone is doing fine.
Paul, what's Article 20?
I just want to underline some of the points Michael made. These are about freezing the industry we have, maintaining the industry we have, allowing it to continue to exist, continue to support our tourism. It's not about taking things away. And then the articles differ only in how they manage the cap once it's in place. You are going to have some scarcity, and whether that should be managed with a wait list or with a transferable license or with a lottery, it's kind of a technical question. There are reasons to go either way, but the point is the current trajectory is completely unsustainable. We cannot actually have a completely unlimited, unregulated, and unmanaged short-term rental sector. And many jurisdictions in the country have realized that. Jurisdictions overseas, tourist towns all over, have found that they can't have no restrictions whatsoever. They have to come up with a plan. And the state passed this law in 2018. Not to put a fine point on it, but we've had a few years, actually, to move forward on this. And forward movement wasn't really happening. So bringing these things forward is an important step in getting a conversation going. Win or lose, which I would like to win, and so would Michael. I think town meeting is really interested in this. I think voters have a belief that short-term rentals really affect the housing inventory. And I'd like to point out to all the skeptics that we allocated our short-term rental tax money toward housing for a reason, because the connection between the short-term rental industry and what's happened to our housing crisis is actually known. It is in the Camoin report from 2019. It's discussed extensively. This is not a fantasy or an illusion. This is something that we allocated millions of dollars based on. The decisions actually have already been made in town meeting body that these things are connected, and all of our elected leaders endorse those decisions. So the idea that short-term rentals and housing aren't part of the same story, I think, doesn't withstand scrutiny. So these are ways to try to bring this conversation forward. There are, I think the most important component is to put a cap so that the short-term rental industry cannot lead to more displacement and more eviction of essential workers, like the woman who spoke at the housing workshop in December, who's a physician's assistant, who was in fact forced out of town, and who was in tears in front of all of our leadership, talking about having to leave her post and how so many of her patients have had to talk about leaving and not knowing where they're going to go. Displacement, you lose your job, you lose your friends, you lose your entire social network, you lose the people who care about you and who will help you when you fall down, when you get sick. It's more than just a word. A loss of community is really devastating, and we have lost so many of our essential working people. And that balance, we're out of balance now, and we're talking about capping the industry where it currently is. We're not talking about taking things away from people. But I don't think an unregulated sector can continue to lead to the displacement and eviction of the people who keep the town running. And I think actually the longer you look at this question, and I hope people read the materials that will be in the town meeting handbook. We all got to submit some materials to explain what it is we're trying to do. These are really serious proposals. Serious people take them seriously. There is a real need to pay attention to how our short-term rental sector is growing and how to manage it going forward. And that's what we're trying to do here.
Go ahead.
Your article?
Yeah.
Did I not do that? My article is cap and trade. So in addition to capping short-term rentals, it allows, first of all, people to transfer the license to the buyer of their property. I don't actually want, when people sell their property, for the short-term rental to stop. People have already been evicted and displaced from those buildings. They might as well continue being short-term rentals. If we're gonna have 13 or 14 or 1,500 short-term rentals, for the most part, I would like them to stay in place. So transferable to the next buyer, I do believe is important. Then I added a concept that I ripped off from Congress with the global warming bill they passed in 2009. Cap and trade allows people to sell the licenses. So if someone wants to begin a short-term rental, say at 22 Nelson, and they buy a property over there and they want to do a short-term rental, they would buy the license from someone else in town, which would open up that property. I like this because it means every new unit that's added to town, either someone lives in it, or if someone buys a short-term rental license, it opens up something else. I think it's a way to leverage our growth into creating units people live in, because as they become short-term rentals, and new construction's really expensive. A lot of working people can't afford a $750,000 new construction. But if those properties buy short-term rentals off of other people, it opens up units that might be more affordable. So there are reasons to do it that way. It is a little bit icky to watch people buy licenses. I understand that, and I agree. It is a little bit icky to watch the idea of people buying licenses. But the effect it has is to turn new construction into a chance to open up units that people can afford, and I think that's important, and that's why I wrote it the way I did.
I also feel like one of the another issue that this has all created when it comes to housing is the cost of housing. I mean, 20, 30 years ago, before people could work from home, before there was such an easy way to short-term rental with Airbnb, housing costs were based on how much you could make living here and working here. And now what's changed with working from home, and specifically Airbnb, is now the cost of a home in Provincetown isn't based on how much you can afford by living in it. It's based on how much you can rent it for. So if you're someone who lives in this community, works in this community, gives to this community, serves on town boards, works at places in town, and you were like, I built a life here, I want to now buy a home here, you can't afford the cost of a home based on what your income is, because the cost of that home is based on what you can rent it per week.
We've documented this a lot at the newspaper. It's actually the Truro numbers I know the best because we just wrote this story. Only 5 years ago, the median home and single-family home in Truro was $600,000, and now it's $1.3 million. Truro used to be the place you went when you needed an affordable place to live, and you were going to make a house with some roommates and make a life out there. And in only 5 years, those properties more than doubled. And it has to do with the fact that those properties in Truro are not based on incomes earned in Truro any longer. It takes like 5 times the median Truro income to afford a house. Like, they're completely disconnected from the incomes that are being earned locally, which is what you said.
Right.
Just to play devil's advocate.
Oh,
Yay.
great. I'm just kidding.
I'm a homeowner and a landlord. I currently am renting the apartment, not me, my husband and I. We are renting the apartment year round because we want to be part of the solution. If I'm not already using it as a short-term rental, do these mean that I never could? Like, I have one unit and it's a year-round rental. If these pass, I'm not grandfathered in. Like, can I never turn it into a short-term rental?
Underneath the 19, you can turn it into a short-term rental. However, there's two ways. If the cap isn't reached, there's still short-term rental certificates available. You can get one. If the cap is reached and you want to do short-term rentals, you would have to enter into a lottery, wait until a short-term rental certificate is returned to the town, and then enter the lottery in order to get it.
Yeah, in either case, you're managing scarcity. Once you put a cap in place, the licenses will be scarce. You can do it where there's a certain amount of time and a certain amount of chance involved. You can do it where there's a market price involved. In that case, you would know, or your buyer of your property, which is who you might be thinking about, would know at least what they're going for these days and how much it would cost them if they wanted to factor short-term rental into their future. They wouldn't have to wait as long, but they would have to pay something. So you're managing scarcity one way or the other. And yes, you unfortunately cannot make a change to how the industry works. That is an immaculate conception that affects nobody, but they were definitely designed to do the least harm possible. Fortunately, there's been a huge run-up in property prices, so generally speaking, I don't think anyone's going underwater from any of the changes that we're discussing here. And the idea is we can't allow the status quo, which is completely unlimited, unregulated, continuing eviction and displacement, and the loss of our industries and our healthcare and everything else. So in order to make the change, you put a cap in place and then you try to manage how they're allocated after the cap. And that's sort of the technical difference that I think we have here. But we really agree profoundly on the fact that the status quo is
Isn't
leading
working.
to the collapse of our businesses and
Right.
our healthcare
Right.
and our industries. It's not sustainable any longer. So that's the change that we want to see made.
The past, I mean, you're exactly the past. When you talk about the collapse of industry in town, it's like you walk down Commercial Street on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I remember I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday night off, and I'd always go to tea, and then we'd start making our way down Commercial to find somewhere to eat. We'd pass by local because it would be packed, and then nothing else would be open until the Crown. And you're passing the Brew House, you're passing Cafe Heaven, you're passing tons of other restaurants that are all just closed on Tuesday night. And that didn't used to be the case. There used to be enough people to work, and it is a staffing issue.
Right.
And these are the visible industries. Like there's a lot of invisible industries that that are just as essential. You know, you don't want your fire department, whom you don't see every day, to be having the same problem.
Right.
You certainly don't want your ambulances to be having the same problem, or your vet, or lack of mental health care. You know, Wellfleet doesn't have really a finance department, and their town government hasn't been able to spend money properly in 3 years. And it's because they couldn't hire the staff they needed in the finance department.
Right.
Things get serious.
And when I spoke about balance earlier, you can also look at it from a different way. Like I was speaking of balance, like, oh, we need more housing for people to live year round, but like the balance is a cyclical thing. It's like what are your short-term rentals worth if there's no restaurants to eat at, no shows to go see? Like the community is what gives your short-term rentals value. If your home existed in the middle of nowhere, it'd be worth nothing. It's worth something because it exists here, and it relates to the industries that we have here, being restaurants, shows, culture, queerness.
But instead of that being the mindset for people who are against these amendments, I have had several conversations with folks who have told me that I am a terrible person because I'm not thinking about the happiness of future homeowners in Provincetown, and that I'm robbing people of the opportunity to live here. And I'm like, but there are already people living here who can't. So I'm going to prioritize them, and then we can worry about, you know, Susie and Jane or whoever who might be thinking about buying a place here in 10 years. But, you know, the people that I actually know and love and like and make up this fabric of this community are being displaced now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna focus on them.
I kind of agree, and I might be biased, but it's like people talk about like, oh, we always had a dream to retire here, and that's predicated on being able to rent things short term. Like you had a dream to retire here. There are other people that are here dreaming of continuing their life here, continuing, like, this is just me personally, but I like have this show, I perform in town, I've worked at a dozen restaurants and establishments overlapping. It's not like I'm jumping around. Like last summer I worked at 4 different service businesses, and then the show, and then I serve on a town board. It's like when I look into the future of me being a part of this community, it's seemingly the people that are allowed to build things here are people that are coming in, and the story of being in Provincetown is like, oh, you move here, you work, you give yourself to work, you give yourself to the community until it expires and you no longer have a place to live, and then you go somewhere else and leave what you've created for the people that could have afforded it.
It's about time that the permanent, year-round people are considered more than supporting cast. We are not supporting cast.
Right.
You people.
You people, right, you people. You know, I can't even.
I know.
Right.
You people wanted to discuss this. Where and when is this? Are we talking about this? Where are we voting on it? Like, what do the listeners need to know about?
Right. Let's talk town meeting details.
Yes, so town meeting, April 3rd, Monday. Come, bring your friends. If you've known anyone who was unstably housed and had to leave, if you are unstably housed and have to leave, if you are stably housed and just care about the future of this town, because we're on a downward trajectory, please come and support these articles. My article, I love it. But if you don't want that one and you want Paul's, great, there's a cap. We're gonna win either way. If you wanna put all of them in, we'll figure out how to make them all work. But just show up, vote, and then please stay. because there's this crazy thing that you can do. Like if you're like, oh, I'm only interested in 19 and then I'm gonna go head over to Tin Pan, they can recall the vote and then all the supporters are gone and then it loses.
You have to stay.
You have to stay. And I'll tell you right now, if this passes, I'm putting my credit card down at Tin Pan and I'm buying everyone a fucking drink. So, 2 even, there you go. Elena Hall, there's all your cash. So please, please, please come to Town Hall.
So we can vote all 3 yes if we want.
Yes.
How does
They're
that
not
work?
antithetical.
How does that work?
This was a question at the town forum, which, by the way, there was a town forum on Wednesday. It's online on the town's website. You can watch people ask questions about a lot of these articles, including these. It was a really great conversation, went on for about half an hour. Actually, a lot of really supportive questions, wanted to know why we weren't much harder on the industry than we were.
Oh yeah, they wanted us
Which
to
was
lower
fun.
it even more.
Yeah.
I was like,
So,
woof.
I'm like, was I there? I'm just kidding.
It was a nice forum, and there's lots of questions and answers there. On other articles too, because of course you have to vote on all kinds of stuff. Bring your friends and bring notes in case you want to talk and you're nervous. And then your question was, what if they all pass? I said at the town meeting forum, if all 3 pass, I will have a giant bottle of rosé champagne. We can figure this out. As Alex Morse said that night, the Attorney General is going to have to look at these if they pass. There's going to have to be a lot of legal work to make sure that they fit the form and function. When we passed inclusionary, it had to be cleaned up several times at town meeting. Our ADU law had to be cleaned up at town meeting. If this all passes, then the Board of Health is going to look at it, the lawyers are going to look at it, we'll figure it out, and I think it'll be champagne all around. So that's a problem. You know, I said then if town meeting voters are in the mood to pass all 3 of these, I won't be sweating that, I'll be celebrating.
Once again, to play devil's advocate, there's a rumor swirling around that the select board is unanimously against all 3 articles. Why?
Well, technically, Dave Abramson withheld his judgment until we present at town meeting floor.
Okay.
He did that for all petitioned articles as a matter of principle. So the other 4 were against them. A lot of it was process that we were bringing these forward in March or February, and there wasn't time to talk about them. I will mention, of course, that I've been having conversations with town staff in August and October of last year.
This ball has been rolling for a while.
This ball has been rolling for a while. Michael brought a Nelson Avenue overlay district to the planning board in September. The planning board wanted to vote on that, but said they would wait to get more data. This is not a new conversation, actually. And you know, the law was passed in 2018. We've had these tools for a while, and there is, I think, it's the third rail. It's you put yourself out there, and you'll find out that it's a little scary. So getting the conversation moving from outside, I think, is ultimately doing everyone involved a favor, whether they feel that way or not.
So to add to that, there's a study currently being done by University of Massachusetts Donahue Institute, and a lot of people are saying, well, why don't we wait until we have that study, right? We had a Camoin study in 2019 that essentially said short-term rental units are displacing year-round housing. We've known it since 2019.
We're living it. We're watching
it. Right. You don't need.
If you don't see it, like, walk into the street and start talking to people.
Right. Right.
And we allocated
so
money.
They talk about, well, they're worried about unintended consequences. And I'm like, oh, you mean like the big pile of unintended consequences that we're sitting in right now from all this unregulated STR shit. Anyway, so there's that. They've also said that it was not vetted, which I don't necessarily know what that means. Vetted by whom? The select board? We've been begging you to take these up, and you didn't. So you had a chance to vet them, and you decided not to. So people just decided to do it themselves. That's what citizens petitions are about. And then finally, there was some really strange conspiracy theory vibes happening at the select board when they voted on this, that it was done in secret and that we were keeping it from people. I want to let everyone know that's crap. We had meetings that were held in public. They were done on Facebook, advertised. Select board members came to them. I talked to other select board members who said, oh, we'd like to go, but we can't because it's the law that if we're 2 in a room, then it's a meeting or whatever. So people knew. And then to like spin it like we secretly did this because we have nefarious intentions. Listen, I know I'm not the most popular person, but I like to think that I'm pretty upfront, and I don't have, my most nefarious intention is to make sure that this town survives. And if that's a dirty deed, then so be it.
You can't not pay attention and then act like things were done in secret.
Right.
Right.
There seems to be a somewhat sizable swath of people who think that if we as a town do any restricting of short-term rentals, that what's then going to happen is even richer people will buy things who don't have to rent it at all, and then everything will sit empty. Is there any basis for that viewpoint? Like, are there towns where that's what happened?
I mean, I do actually think there is some concern that depending on how you enacted a short-term rental regime, you could chase out buyers and lead only to what I call the Nantucketization, where you have people for whom short-term rental is like a boring distraction. I think how you design the cap matters, how you design your program matters, but part of what we've both done here is make sure that any property can still become a short-term rental. You want to make sure that people who buy these, first of all, people who sell them are going to want to know their rental history is worth something, but also people who buy them need to know that if that's their plan, whether or not it's attainable, whether it's achievable. How am I going to get a certificate? How's it going to work? So we did try to make it where it's not like we're out to extinguish short-term rental. Like we know it's important. We know it supports 55% of our tourists. It's supposed to stay. We're not here to chase it away. So I just think that a lot of the fear is people have the idea that we want to stop what they're doing. We want to stop their short-term rental, which we don't. And we want to squash the industry, which we don't. It's here, we need it. It supports all the people on this side of the bar, but the people on that side of the bar need a place to live. So it's about balance. It's not about extinction.
And about the super rich coming in and buying up everything, I mean, the funny thing about the super rich is that they're used to getting what they want. And the super rich want waterfront, they want restaurants and bars, they want what they want. The super rich don't want to live on Nelson Ave. They're not going to be buying those up. I can guarantee you that.
They'd rather buy, if they can't get waterfront here, they're not going to go Nelson Ave, they're going to go Chatham.
Right, exactly. There you go.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in.
Thank you.
It was truly a pleasure. It was enlightening, and we could literally talk for hours.
Yes.
As we have.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us. It was a really great conversation and a really nice block of time. Thank you for taking the time. And everybody come to town meeting. Bring everybody.
You have, you have to be a registered voter.
Yes.
Or you can sit in the balcony if you're not.
Right.
But if you want to speak and you want to vote, you have to be a town voter.
And this is just my personal thing. If you were going to speak, speak on the merits of the articles presented, not the, like...
need.
Yeah. We know we need housing. Everyone in the room knows we need housing. So to get up there and say we need housing is just...
Maybe be prepared to speak.
Yeah.
Write something out. And because, you know, it's a limited amount of time that they let you speak anyway, so don't ramble.
Yeah.
And also, it might take more than one night. So we're saying April
God help
3rd.
us.
It might keep going.
Keep April 4th clear, too.
Yeah, be in for the long haul, everybody. Thank you guys so much for explaining these. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people were curious and unsure, and I think you cleared a lot of that up today.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Of course.
And thank you for watching.
Wherever you are. I mean, thank you for waking up in Provincetown.
Wherever you are. Thank you to our
That's what it is.
sponsors, the Crown and Anchor, the Provincetown Brewing Company, the Boat Slip, Shipwreck and the Brass Key, and the Provincetown Business Guild.
We'll see you guys next Friday.
Good morning, everybody. Wake up. Wake up, wake up. In Provincetown.